Happy Friday, June 21st here. Hunter again here at North-Central Weather Center. And in today's weather forecast, we're going to be talking about excessive heat across portions of the north-central United States, along with active rounds of severe thunderstorms rolling through the north-central U.S. as we go through the next several days. And we're going to be talking about the long range here into next week as well in today's weather forecast. So if you are new here to North-Central Weather Center, make sure to subscribe to the channel down below. Give the video a like after today's weather forecast if you did like it, and also leave any comments, questions, concerns below. We'll get to those after the video. So without further ado, let's get into today's weather forecast on your Friday, June 21st. And this morning's temperatures across the north-central U.S., we did wake up here to the south across the Kansas region into Missouri and surrounding areas toward Kentucky into the middle and upper 70s. A little cooler up to the north across North Dakota, northern Minnesota, Wisconsin there, and into the UP of Michigan into the 50s this morning. Temperatures are going to warm up in a big way across the central and southern portion of our viewing area. So from Nebraska, Iowa, into northern Illinois, into southern lower Michigan on southward, temperatures well into the 80s, if not well into the 90s this afternoon. North of that, we have a little bit of a boundary with showers and thunderstorms. That will keep us a little cooler for South Dakota, North Dakota, into much of Minnesota, Wisconsin, and the upper peninsula of Michigan as we go into the afternoon. When you factor in the moisture outside, this is what the air is going to feel like to your body. And you can see into the middle and upper 90s we go with our heat index values this afternoon across portions of Nebraska, into Iowa, into Kansas, Missouri, Illinois, over here into Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, and southern lower Michigan. So make sure that you stay hydrated if you venture outdoors this afternoon across the north-central U.S. Now, on the northern periphery of all the heat, we're watching for severe thunderstorms to develop possibly this afternoon and this evening. There is a level 2 out of 5. Slight risk in yellow extending from the La Crosse area in Wisconsin back west towards Sioux Falls here and into the North Platte area near Rapid City as we go in through the afternoon and the evening. The main risk here will be for 60, perhaps 70 mile per hour wind gusts with some of these scattered thunderstorms. Hailstones of up to potentially quarter size here, especially from Wichita Falls here. Sioux Falls, rather. I'm thinking about Texas. Sioux Falls all the way back here into North Platte and Rapid City. And then a couple tornadoes will be possible as well, especially around the Sioux Falls area as we go through the evening hours. So let's look here at the thunderstorm fuel. You have a lot of fuel here in the tank. We have 2,000 joules per kilogram. Plenty of thunderstorm fuel on the northern periphery of all of this heat. So scattered thunderstorm activity this afternoon from South Dakota into southern Minnesota, northern Iowa, and then stretching eastward toward the Badger State of Wisconsin and into Michigan. And note, not everybody will see a thunderstorm today, so a lot of areas may stay dry. And then as we go into the evening hours, more clustering of these showers and storms, maybe a little bit of a line of storms developing here across Iowa in particular, southern Minnesota with greater storm coverage. We'll be watching out for more of a damaging wind and hail risk with this, but also a few spin-up tornadoes as well on the leading edge. And then just continuous rounds of thunderstorms clustering up across South Dakota, southern Minnesota, Iowa, and southwest Wisconsin through early Saturday morning. And that will produce a little bit more flash flooding potential from portions of Nebraska, South Dakota, and eastward, really through southern Minnesota, far northern Iowa, and then into western, southwestern Wisconsin. Rainfall totals through your Saturday morning could be ranging anywhere from 1 to 3 inches, locally higher amounts than 3 inches possible in some of those areas. So the Weather Prediction Center did go ahead and put a moderate risk for flash flooding out for that area there into southeastern South Dakota, northeast Nebraska, southern Minnesota, northern Iowa, western, southwestern Wisconsin for the potential for numerous flash flooding events, and some of which could be significant and affecting larger rivers as we go through your Saturday morning commute. Let's look here at the weekend, Saturday, June 22nd and Sunday, June 23rd. Our temperature anomalies are still going to be quite warm out there, so a warm weekend ahead for much of the north-central United States. Looking at high temperatures for your Saturday afternoon, again, that boundary is going to be setting itself up across the Midwest and into the Great Lakes. South of it, 90s are likely. North of it, temperatures held down into the 60s and 70s with some outflow boundaries, some cloud cover, some rainfall at times as we go through Saturday. Here's your Saturday heat index Saturday afternoon. Triple digits across much of Kansas, Missouri, 90s further east into the Ohio Valley, the Illinois Valley there on Saturday. That boundary pushes a little further south on Sunday, so the heat relaxes a little bit more for the north-central U.S., but heat index values still in the triple digits for parts of Kansas, the Missouri Ozarks area, downstate Illinois, and western Kentucky as we go into the Sunday afternoon. Now, we are watching a little bit of a trough trying to develop here across the upper Midwest this weekend, and we're on the northeastern quadrant of the ridge of high pressure, and very fast flow in the jet stream is overhead, especially for the Dakotas, Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, and northern Illinois. That's where we're going to have a heightened threat for severe weather as we go through the day on Saturday. As a cold front moves in from northwest to southeast, there is a slight risk of severe weather. This is a level 2 out of 5 on the risk scale from Green Bay, La Crosse, Milwaukee area down through Rockford, Illinois, into Des Moines, into Dubuque, Cedar Rapids, Waterloo, Iowa, all the way down there into the Kirksville, Missouri area, and the Davenport Quad Cities region as well as we go through Saturday. Main threat will be damaging winds and large hail, but a couple tornadoes may also evolve as well. So Saturday morning, cluster of showers and storms. This is ongoing activity from this evening's expected storms across Iowa, with more heavy rain from Wisconsin back into northeastern Iowa. More outflow boundaries from that complex will ignite additional thunderstorms Saturday afternoon in a lot of the same areas across south central Wisconsin and northeastern Iowa, and that will have a tendency to drop further south and east into more of the unstable atmosphere in eastern Iowa, north central Illinois, so places like Davenport, Quad Cities, Dubuque, Rockford, Milwaukee, Chicago, a lot of those areas, maybe even as far east as Kalamazoo and Grand Rapids, Michigan, into Saturday evening. And notice the linear structure of that line, mainly damaging winds and hail, but a couple tornadoes possible. Now, as we go into Sunday, the severe weather threat shifts further off to the east. Marginal risk for parts of Ohio, southern Indiana, and Kentucky there, southern Illinois, and the foothills region of southeastern Missouri. 1 out of 5 on the risk scale, mainly looking at just some sporadic damaging winds to 60 miles per hour. Some quarter-size hail, and a very, very small, less than 2% tornado risk. Looking here at Sunday morning, a lot of us are quiet. Very dry as we go into the start of our Sunday there. Sunday afternoon, maybe isolated storm coverage across especially Kentucky there in our viewing area, and that will continue into Kentucky with isolated storm coverage as we go into Sunday evening. Most of the north-central United States will be dry as we go through the second half of the weekend on Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening. Here are the expected rainfall totals for the weekend between Saturday, June 22nd, tomorrow, and Sunday, June 23rd. Heaviest rainfall from Wisconsin, Michigan, down into eastern Iowa, Missouri, and Illinois, but spotty storm coverage further east will have some localized higher amounts than what you see on this model here. So, for example, there could be like a thunderstorm that just doesn't want to move very much in Kentucky. Doesn't show it here, but we could have maybe an over an inch rainfall total there in western Kentucky as we go into the weekend. Something to keep an eye on. But in general, as the cold front comes through, Saturday, slight risk for flash flooding from Michigan down into southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois, and eastern Iowa. Sunday, that shifts a lot further off to the east and outside of our viewing area for the most part, except for eastern Ohio and eastern Kentucky, still hanging on to a marginal risk for flash flooding on Sunday. Now, finally, heading into the long-range portion of the forecast, Monday, June 24th next week through Friday next week as well on June 28th. Looking at our temperature anomalies, the warmest will be out west, so the Great Plains, the Dakotas, Nebraska, Kansas, and much of the lower Midwest into Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, the Ohio Valley there into Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky will still see above normal temperatures. The northern periphery going to be around normal to slightly below normal here with our temperatures. You can look at these early next week, a lot more 90s in play. That continues into the middle of next week, a little bit more of a reprieve widespread across the north-central United States, back into the 70s and 80s by the middle of next week. Heat starts to build back up, though, across the Great Plains, the Dakotas, Nebraska, and Kansas as we go into later next week on Friday. Now, we are in an area that we have to watch on the northeastern quadrant of the ridge of high pressure. That's where the fast motion of the winds and the jet stream will be. And that's where all the thunderstorm fuel will be. So you have fuel in the tank here. The higher the value, the greater the chance of thunderstorms and thus severe weather. So over 5,000, 6,000 joules per kilogram lining up here across parts of the Midwest here. Where this sets up right now is a little bit uncertain, but we may have to watch out for those clusters of showers and storms that dive in from the upper Midwest and the upper Mississippi Valley south and eastward toward the Great Lakes, toward Chicago, Peoria, Illinois, Indianapolis, stuff like that as we go into the Tuesday and Wednesday timeframe, early to middle portion of next week. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to subscribe here to North Central Weather Center. If you do enjoy today's weather forecast, make sure to give it a like by giving it a thumbs up down below. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. We'll get to those later on today. My name is Hunter with North Central Weather Center, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their Friday out there.